here, and as you may be able to hear, I'm in my garden sweeping up leaves. I was supposed to be raking up leaves, but I can't find my rake, and I strongly suspect that it's buried underneath all these leaves. It's that time of year. Actually, it's past that time of year. I have a big ash tree that overhangs my garden, and every year, I love it, incidentally, no complaints, but every year it drops all its leaves in sort of one fell swoop, and I make it my mission to get them all onto my flower beds as a mulch, ready to sink into the soil over the winter and fertilise everything in the coming year. It's a fun job, I think. Hard work, but very satisfying. A lot easier when you can actually find your rake, though, I would say. But I am a very patchy gardener, and although I do enjoy it, I'm a big kind of procrastinator, and a lot of the time I just don't have time. Winter's such a busy season for me because of the wintering promotional cycle that rises up every November and demands my attention for a few months. Life goes on, but things get left. Anyway, I'm here now. The leaves have already turned brown. Oh, some of the work is done for me, I think. And I'm just corralling them all onto the soil. I had a really great conversation, which I'm going to share with you in a minute, a couple of days ago, with Laura Pashby, who many of you will know either from her books or from Instagram. She has a really well-beloved account on Instagram called Circle of Pines, where she specialises in taking self-portraits. We talk about this a little bit in the interview. And there's something very unusual, I think, about women in midlife enthusiastically taking portraits of themselves, and it's kind of a joy to see. But Laura's real subject is fog, and that is the subject of her latest book too, which is out recently in paperback. It's called Chasing Fog. She adores these kind of mysterious, gothic, foggy landscapes, and she often photographs herself, I might take a break, floating through them in white dresses like a little lost Victorian ghost. There's something very Emily Bronte about the whole thing, and it's delightful. But Chasing Fog is just a wonderful biography of a weather phenomenon that we're losing. We'll talk about that more in the interview. It's really an exploration of hauntedness itself, the way that people, places, ideas, moods dwell in us and are kind of reignited in certain landscapes, certain slants of the light, certain seasons. I'm also interested in the connection between human beings and the landscapes they inhabit. I think it is something we are sometimes losing. We're losing our deep, lifelong connections to landscape, and we're losing a lot of the meanings that once made our landscapes into places that we could almost read like a storybook rather than simply move through. Anyway, I think you'll really enjoy meeting Laura if you've never met her before. And if you haven't, I think you're going to really like her choice of a retreat. It's definitely a location close to my own heart. I'm very jealous that she thought of it and not me, honestly. And of course, as you might have guessed, there's definitely plenty of fog. I'll see you at the other side. Laura, welcome to the clearing. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. It's a really stormy, rainy day where I am. I don't know if it is where you are.
We've not got it yet, but it's a really grey day. Like it's one of those days where you just can't get light into the house. It seems so dingy. I know we've been sort of trying to put lamps on, and it makes everything feel a bit grubby, doesn't it, when it's so dark?
It does. Yeah, it is very grey out there, but it's quite nice to be cozy inside. So I don't mind.
Yeah, there's as we know, I don't mind winter too much, and I don't think you mind it very much either.
Give me a bit of murky weather, it's fine.
Yeah, this is our season starting. It's just taking us a while to get into it.
It is.
So I'm going to welcome you into my clearing in the woods, where you're going to imagine your dream retreat. So I'm hoping that's going to be a lovely, relaxing hour for you. But I just wanted to start by asking, like, what brings you to the clearing today to retreat? Like, how's life been, and where do we find you?
Well, that's a good question. I actually did think that today was a very good day to be invited to retreat. Partly because it's blowing an absolute gale outside, and when I tried to walk to the high street, I just got knocked over. And partly because I was dealing with a lot of teenage angst this morning. And also I'm sort of in the process of writing another book. And I'm at the point where my head is quite busy. There's a lot going on. So actually the thought of being in your clearing is wonderful, but the thought of retreating is exactly what I need right now.
I was about to say, like, are you the sort of person that goes on retreat to write books? But I know that you went on probably my dream retreat this year already, didn't you? You've been to an amazing retreat venue this year.
I did. So I did a writing residency at the end of August on an island in the Arctic Circle, which was, incredible.
You take beautiful photos, which I think we'll probably talk about at some point today, but your photos were so, just filled me with yearning to be there. They were so lovely.
It was just a dream spot, really. And the place that I retreated to, that I was resident at, is a sort of a centre for the arts, but it's a very old homestead on the island of Armstrong. So the buildings are historic, but they're also filled with just incredible pieces of sort of history. And there's a house, but there's also a boat shed and a workshop. And each of those was just absolutely full with gorgeous items. And
objet.
And so it was a writer's dream because it was somewhere so unique and quiet, but it was also a photographer's dream because they were everywhere I looked. There were just these amazing vignettes, beautiful scenes.
Did you get much done? Like, my experience of going on writing retreats is that I tend to not write. I don't know. I just
that is essentially what happened, is that in my head I was going to write pretty much the whole book while I was there.
It was just to be super productive.
I've sorted it now. I'll just go to the Arctic, I'll write the book, and then I'll come home and it's done. And what actually happened
in real life,
the journey in itself is quite a long way, obviously, and it was two flights and a ferry.
wow.
So just getting there And it was the first time I'd travelled such a long way on my own. You know, I have travelled on my own,
Right,
but
yeah.
since I had my kids, I haven't done such a big kind of
Yeah.
trip. And so actually when I first got there, I was just kind of getting used to being there really and kind of processing the journey. And so probably for about the first 3 days, all I did was take lots of pictures of everything. And I did write in my notebook. I was writing a lot of notes. But yeah, I was like walking on the beach and I got overexcited and cycled to the next town and then realised I needed to cycle back. Then eventually sort of halfway through I did get to the point where things sort of came together in my head a bit and I did do some writing, but not as much as I planned at all. But I think sometimes, you know, I sort of think the writing's the thing I need to go and do, and actually I don't think it was. I think it was the thinking and the just sort of
really true.
being, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say the writing's kind of mechanical in a way when you can get to do it, but the thinking is what's really hard to achieve. And if you write without thinking, you get complete nonsense. Most of my experience, you do, you know.
You do.
Yeah, it's lovely. Okay, well, today you get to come back on retreat. And it's interesting that the journey was the thing. I wonder if there'll be any journeys involved in this. But welcome to my clearing in the forest. Tell me what I'm going to find there for your retreat. Like, where are we in the world? What kind of landscape do you dream of this being in? Like, what does this look like?
So, is this, can it be anywhere or is it a sort of...
It can be anywhere
forest?
and it definitely doesn't have to be real.
Okay. I mean, actually, I found this really difficult, not because I couldn't think of somewhere, but because I could think of quite a lot of different places. And I was like, I've got to narrow this down. Because first of all, I thought that I wanted to go to Venice because I love Venice and it's one of my favourite places. And I went there when I was researching my previous book, Chasing Fog.
Chasing Fog, yeah, the lovely Chasing Fog.
And I had this moment in Venice where, like a real sliding doors moment, and I knew that I had to go home the next day. And I just thought, but what if I didn't? What if I just stayed and found a little room and sat in the room and wrote? And so that was my first thought. Maybe this is my chance to go to Venice. But actually, I think where I want to be, and I think this might be somewhere you will hopefully like. So when I was on this retreat,
Venice.
This is also good. When I was on the retreat in Norway, in the Arctic Circle island, we were talking, Hannah, who hosted the residency, and there were 2 other creatives there. And we were talking about there is currently, in the Arctic Circle, there is a lighthouse. And in this lighthouse, an artist and a filmmaker, amazing, an artist and a filmmaker are living for a year in a lighthouse in the Arctic Circle. And they're, I think their Instagram's called The Light Alone. And there's not an awful lot on it because what they've done
I will be looking that up just as soon as we finish recording. Notes being taken.
They've got the Instagram, and I think they have a Patreon where they maybe share more. But so we were talking about this, and Hannah was trying to figure out, you know, where they could be. And actually, I just think that would be the dream, not just to be in the Arctic Circle on an island, which is incredible, but to be actually living in a lighthouse. And I know that you love lighthouses too.
I do. Talk lighthouse to me because, yeah, you did. You wrote about lighthouses in Chasing Fog.
I did.
I mean, obviously they are, we should announce to anyone who hasn't read your book, you are a fog aficionado, and you will travel for fog.
I will travel for fog. This is true.
Of course, lighthouses are generally in areas where fog collects. That's part of what they do.
Yeah.
What is the appeal of the lighthouse? I feel it deeply, but it's a curious one, isn't it? It's not for everyone, maybe.
I think for me, it's something about being on the edge. It's quite a liminal space. You know, it is on the land, obviously physically, but it's very close to the sea, and it's kind of quite an It's quite an in-between space. And it's a very out of the way place. You know, you don't really sort of accidentally tend to happen on a lighthouse. You know, you tend to know you're going to a lighthouse.
You've got there intentionally.
Yeah.
You weren't just passing.
You're not just passing. And I think so, you know, if you're looking for solitude, which obviously is quite important for a retreat, I think it's a really good place for that. And I think obviously the lighthouse light itself is really fascinating. But also the light within the lighthouse, you know, the way that the lighthouse, the windows face outwards to all the different angles of the coast. And so the way that I suppose you can watch the sea from there in a totally different way to from anywhere else. And, you know, I mean, I do feel that if I went to a lighthouse, there would be a good chance of fog. And I do love being in the fog. I do find that a very kind of calming, meditative.
And maybe a bit of foghorn.
Exactly. Oh, that would be the dream. That would be the dream. The lighthouse was one of those beautiful, big, black curved.
A proper one. Yeah. I mean, the lighthouse I stayed in didn't have a proper foghorn anymore. And I was a bit surprised when I heard it in the middle. I was like, oh, is this your foghorn?
Slightly less romantic, isn't it? When it
was like, beep, beep.
I'm sure the ships were very glad of it, but
yes, that's right. It's functional. I mean, in Whitstable we have a foghorn that doesn't. I mean, you hear it so rarely because of the kind of coast we are. But when it goes off, it's quite haunting.
It's really haunting, isn't it? Yeah. The first time I heard it when I was researching my book, is I went to there's a little churchyard on the edge of the River Severn on a little hill, and I'd gone there just because it was foggy, and I'd been researching this churchyard and I wanted to go to it in the fog, and it didn't even cross my mind that I would hear a foghorn, but there is a foghorn at the mouth of the River Severn that sounds, and it's such a sort of mournful sound, isn't it? It's very eerie. It's very kind of melancholic,
particularly because fog changes the way sound seems to operate anyway, and so it carries in a really different way than I think it would do if there wasn't. Oh, it's a very lovely thing. Okay, so you have a lighthouse with its own foghorn, and I can guarantee you some fog. That's fine. That's not a problem. That seems to be within my powers. What kind of coast are you on, though? Do you prefer some, different kinds of coast?
I think I would stick with the Arctic Circle Islands because when I was there, the light, it was the end of the summer. So obviously what would be interesting in an Arctic Circle lighthouse is that it would be, very, very completely dark at certain points of the year, and then at other points of the year, fully light. And I would quite like to experience a full year of that. I think that would be really interesting.
Oh, so you're retreating for a whole year. Brilliant. Ideal.
Yes,
I'd love that.
Please. Not just for today.
And how will you cope with the solitude of that? Like, a year is a long time. You live in a very busy house with 3 children, like I imagine, or 3 big guys actually now. Yeah. I imagine that's quite noisy and chaotic. Like, how's that going to land for you?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why I'm dreaming.
You need a year to recover.
Maybe that's why I'm dreaming of retreating for an entire year, just because it's the absolute antithesis of what my actual life is like. The complete chaos. I mean,
full permission here. No one's judging you.
In an ideal world, I'd probably take them with me for at least some of the time, because I think they would love the lighthouse, my kids, and But in terms of the coast, whilst I was on this island, we saw like the whale that went past daily. There were dolphins and Arctic terns, and I just think, it would be really interesting, I think, for me to see the sort of sea life.
To watch the wildlife change across the year, and to kind of get to know its patterns, and that would be amazing. Okay, this sounds gorgeous. Tell me about the interior then. Take me inside the lighthouse. Are we, is this a Spartan kind of Arctic station affair? Or is there a little more fluff inside your Arctic lighthouse than that?
Yeah, I think if I was designing my own lighthouse, I think I'd stick with the white walls and the quite simple, but, there'd obviously have to be a lot of books. That would be really important.
Yeah. Well, it's just a giant circular library, right? I mean, like a A library tube you could have.
It's a library that goes up to the sky. And maybe I always quite fancy, the ladders in Topping's bookshops. They have those move along ladders.
Yeah,
I wonder whether in
ladders,
a lighthouse you could have nice tall ladders.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm feeling like.
So, is it, are the personal things luxurious? Do you have what sort of bed are you having? Are there any, I don't know, do you have a lighthouse jacuzzi? Maybe a sauna's more appropriate.
Yeah. Actually, the place where I stayed, they had a sauna on the grounds, and it was a little. So there is a little lighthouse, not one you can actually go inside, but there is a lighthouse in the grounds of the place where I stayed in Norway, and they had a sauna which was a little sort of wooden hut that had been constructed to hold the paraphernalia for the lighthouse. I'm not quite sure what it was, but the things they needed to look after the lighthouse were in this hut, and then afterwards they converted it to a sauna. So yes, one of those, please. One of those outside.
You got a nice little warm space to kind of anything else?
And then I think if it's going to be really wild outside, you definitely need a very cozy bed, feather duvet, lots of cushions, that kind of snugness, blankets.
So lighthouse cozy. This is an aesthetic that we're not used to yet, but I think it could really take on. Okay, so you are in your gorgeous, cozy inside, foggy outside lighthouse. There are whales circling, hopefully not in a menacing way as I've made it sound. Not orcas. They're not very keen on humans at the moment, I gather. Tell me what you're going to eat when you're there, first of all. Are you cooking for yourself in the lighthouse, or does food magically appear if you're retreating?
I think ideally I would not be cooking, and food would, I'd come down in the morning and there'd be a lovely breakfast spread with a big, thermos jug of coffee that just kept topping up all day the time.
Eternal coffee all day.
Eternal coffee in my lighthouse, please.
Excellent. So the Arctic elves are going to deliver.
Yes, I think that would be perfect.
And what kind of, what food feels really nourishing to you in those moments? Are you a comfort food eater? Are you a, I don't know, super healthy? Like, what would feel really lovely for a whole year, apparently?
I think, I do, I try to be healthy, but I think nourishing and cozy is definitely, a good description of the kind of food I like.
Good rib sticking.
Yeah, and maybe, not every day, but some nice Norwegian waffles for breakfast, that kind of that kind of thing.
Do you go in for the Norwegian brown chease, or have you ever had the Norwegian brown cheese? Yeah.
Yeah, I did try it, and it was quite nice, actually. I'm not sure if I'd want it every day, but I could get into that.
I think it's a bit of sweet cheese is a bit of a required taste, isn't it?
It is. And then maybe some kind of home comfort foods, like, some macaroni cheese or jacket potatoes, those kind of
Would you bring your own jar of Marmite, is what I'm asking?
Definitely.
I would.
Definitely Marmite.
Got to have Marmite. Like, if it's a whole year, you're going to need the vitamin B anyway. So
exactly, it'd be good for me.
I actually think that all of the retreats imagined in this podcast come with a jar of Marmite as standard, even for people that don't like Marmite. I think that's the right thing to do for like world peace or whatever it is. Like,
you can't retreat without Marmite. It would be lost.
This is going to be controversial for the Americans, but we can convert them.
Yeah.
I've got a theory that coffee drinkers don't like Marmite on toast, though. But that doesn't work for you, obviously.
No, give me Marmite on toast with coffee. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. That's the end. I think it goes with tea, you see, and not coffee. Two bitter things.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was revealed to me in a dream once, that I dreamt I was on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And what I was doing was explaining to her that if Americans drank more tea, they would like Marmite on toast. And I woke up and I was like, my God, that's right.
I think, I do agree. If you were giving me a choice, if I've got Marmite on toast and you say coffee or tea with it, I think you're right. Tea would go better with it. Yeah, that's true.
I'm a Marmite sommelier. Okay, so we invited you to bring a cherished object with you to your retreat. Something that would comfort you, maybe remind you of home, or maybe that just would inspire you.
What are you
Okay.
bringing with you?
So it's probably not going to massively surprise you, but I'm going to bring a camera. And the camera I'm bringing, it's a little SLR. It's an Olympus Trip. It's about this big. Should have brought it with me. And it's my dad gave it to me for my 15th birthday.
Wow.
So when I turned 15, he gave me this little Olympus Trip camera, and he turned our downstairs loo into a dark room. And so that was the
Great
moment.
dad.
Yeah, amazing. So cool. So he did photography at college, so he had an enlarger. So he set it all up. And it was definitely the best present I've ever received. Like you just can't top that.
Do you still have it?
I've got the camera, not the enlarger. I don't know what happened to the enlarger. Yeah, so that's when I learned how to develop photographs. And so it's a really treasured object for me, and also it's kind of the start of where I started taking photographs. So I would take that, and I would also take loads of rolls of film, because I would really like just to kind of shoot film without having to think, I've got 22 left and what am I going to do? I'd just like to be able to take them. But also there's something quite nice about not developing them straight away.
Right.
And I think, because I almost always shoot digital now, actually, when I do shoot on film, there's the little gap in between taking the photograph and seeing the photograph. That I love that kind of anticipation and not quite knowing what you're going to see.
A little bit of a surprise element.
The surprise, yeah.
Yeah.
And when I came back from my retreat to the Lighthouse, I just have a big sack of rolls of film to get developed.
So you're not going to develop in the Lighthouse? You're not going to set up a little...
I could, couldn't I? I could add a dark room to my Lighthouse.
You could have a dark room, yeah.
Maybe I'll do that.
We could do that. We could allow that for sure.
That would be a good addition. Okay, maybe
right in the top, I think, before the light, but a little bit before the light, you could have like
with a nut and a nice clothesline to pin them all up on.
So your dad gave you this camera when you were 15.
He did.
Did you immediately take to photography, or did you circle it for a while? Like, how did you develop as a photographer? Because you take such incredible photos now.
Oh, thank you. When I was 15, I think I remember at that point really feeling like I didn't know what to take photographs of.
Yeah.
I think at that age, I kind of thought, well, if it's not something really strange or interesting or different, like there's nothing here to take a picture of. And so it took me a long time, I think, even though I kept taking photographs, and I did it in sixth form, and then I did it still when I was at uni. I used the darkroom at uni. But I don't think it was until after my children were born, actually, that I started to look at photography in a slightly different way, and maybe look at it with a lens of kind of story, and finding a story in really small and simple things. And I think before that point, I kind of thought of a photograph as making a picture, and actually now I think of a photograph as telling a story, but just doing it in a visual way. And so now my approach to photography is very much that I want a photograph to make me feel something. And if there's not a sort of feeling there, I just don't think there's a picture there. And I think a lot of photographs, sometimes it's to do with how the light looks, or the shape of something, but there's always got to be something there that just makes you feel something. And so I think at that point I was learning the technical stuff. I was learning, about aperture and exposure and all of that kind of stuff. But I think it took me a long time to sort of get a sense of the emotional elements of photography, and kind of, I guess, why you take photos and what they mean.
Well, there's a maturity almost that most of us need to attain to understand that. Your first book, Little Stories of Your Life, is about this, isn't it? It's about how to use your camera to tell a story, or to kind of capture people's attention in a way that isn't flat, that there's kind of depth of understanding to it.
And also, I suppose, I mean, that book is about, and also what I sort of learnt eventually is that, that small things are just as interesting to photograph as big things. And actually, I think that's what I'm more interested in now, is the kind of little everyday details and the way the light falls and crumbling paintwork, anything like that. Just this sort of evidence of living, that kind of thing is what appeals to me now, I think.
And you could, and I mean, I don't know if everyone here will know they might know your Instagram account without knowing that, without connecting you to it now, because actually, and we'll of course link in the show notes, but you are a professional Victorian ghost on Instagram. Like we glimpse you all the time drifting through like sort of haunting landscapes. How did that begin? Because it's such an interesting motif that you've kind of created for yourself.
Yeah. So I started, there came a point where, because where I live in a town sort of under a hill. And up on the hill where there are some woods, and in the woods it is really frequently quite foggy, just I think because of the way that the cloud hits the top of the hillside. So I used to take my camera out for sort of fairly regular walks in the woods. And then I started taking photographs when it was foggy. And it became very addictive. There's something about the sort of way in which fog visually changes the landscape, which I really love. I like the mystery of it. I like the way it softens everything. I like the way it completely transforms very familiar paths into like just a total other world. And then I think, I'm not sure why I decided that I wanted to include myself in the photographs, but I decided that I was going to sort of extend these foggy photographs into self-portraiture. And really by trial and error, I worked out that the best way to make myself visible in the fog when I was taking a photograph of myself was to wear white, because I tried.
So counterintuitive that, isn't it? You'd think that would make you sink into it.
You'd think you'd fade away, but you don't. If you wear dark clothes, that kind of sucks the colour and you can't really see yourself. So I did eventually discover that if I wear a white dress, you can sort of see me against the fog. And so now quite frequently, if there is a foggy day, one or other local dog walker will sort of happen across me.
While you're drifting through in your white dress,
with my tripod set up. So and I suppose that's become a kind of sort of motif in my photography, but like a kind of ongoing story, really. And what's quite interesting is it's always the same white dress. So kind of year on year, fog on fog, the sort of landscape changes.
Do you only have one copy of this white dress, or do you have like multiples of them hanging up in the wardrobe just in case?
No, just one. One Marks and Spencer's white dress, which when I bought it was not intended for photography. And it has got a slightly grimy hem now from walking through the woods. And that's. So it's that's what I wear, and it kind of it's like a recurring story, I suppose. It's almost like
that's right,
you could link all the photographs, and I'm just sort of walking through the woods and walking, and
you have to animate them all together. But it's actually really delightful to see, because I think so many women, particularly anyone over like 25, hate being photographed, won't be photographed at all. Feel hideously, and if you do take a photograph, as we're sort of grimacing because we're so embarrassed to be visible, it's actually quite subversive to therefore photograph yourself and to romanticize yourself in that way as well. Like it is actually quite uncommon.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, the thing about photographing yourself is that you're in control of how you want the image to look and of what you want the story to be. And I definitely do think of those self-portraits as a sort of story version of myself. It is me walking through the woods, but it's also, as you say, a slightly romanticized, like a kind of storybook self. I I don't like having my photograph taken by other people for disclosure. But there's something very, it's quite empowering and positive about, and also I just love having that record, having those photographs.
Yeah.
And actually, I've got a few sets of photographs from when I've taken my camera up, I've set up my tripod, I've taken the self-portraits that I want to take. And then sometimes if I've got my kids with me or my husband's up there, then I'll just take some photos with the tripod with them in the fog. And those are some of my favourite photographs of all. I just love them because there's something about the kind of atmosphere up there and the mystery of it that just even very sort of normal family photographs, just us standing in a group, suddenly looks completely different when you're up in the fog. So and I do think using a tripod and sort of controlling the image yourself just gives you a really nice kind of sense of agency and
definitely
vision.
I mean, I think we've maybe all got a bit more used to seeing ourselves. I mean, I was just thinking as you were speaking, like I'm watching myself on Zoom right now, not Zoom, Riverside, but I'm watching my own video right now, which at the beginning of the pandemic felt so affronting to me. Like, oh my God, I've got to see my weird face over and over again, have I apparently? Well, I'm not going to survive that. But now I've kind of got to know my own face a bit better in a strange kind of a way. And I feel less protective over over kind of trying to, what am I trying to say? I feel less protective over trying to only appear nice on camera. I feel a little bit more like I can just look like myself, and it's sort of okay because I've realised I love seeing other people's real faces.
That's it. And I mean, it is hard, isn't it, when you are online a lot and, you do need to sort of share photographs of yourself because it's not something really that comes very naturally, is it? It's not something I would seek out. It's just something that is kind of necessary. But, I sort of think, well, I've only got one, this is me.
Yeah.
I can't change
that's
it.
Right. But it's also, it's lovely to see. I mean, there's just nothing horrible about it. It's just that we are so self-conscious, I think, so often, and it's kind of. So what are you doing in this lighthouse? Like, are you going to be taking foggy self-portraits?
I mean,
are you doing other things too?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would definitely be, I would have to do that, definitely. I'd have to pack my white dress. Maybe I could get a new white dress with a clean hemline. That would be exciting, wouldn't it?
Or, give it a wash. I don't know.
Yeah, got to.
Scrub it.
And also, I think I would quite like to do some knitting while I'm in the lighthouse.
Ooh, okay.
Because that was actually how I first started out writing online, was with a knitting blog.
I did not know this about you. Yeah. This is interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah, I started with a knitting blog. I think it was probably about 2010, something like that. And my best friend was living in Washington, DC at the time. And so we started this blog. I think there was another knitting blog that was like letters between people. And we were like, hey, we could do that because we both knit and we both crochet, or we did at the time. So we started this blog where we were writing each other letters on sort of alternate weeks, talking about what we'd been making, what we've been sewing, what we've been knitting. And actually, that's probably when I started getting into photography. Because I was photographing what I was making, and I sort of needed to learn, having not really picked up a camera for lots of years in between when my kids were tiny, apart from to take pictures of them, obviously.
Yes, many pictures of the children.
Many pictures of the children, not many pictures of anything else. So, I did pick up the camera again to take pictures of the knitting. And I mean, knitting kind of has gone by the wayside for me since then, really. But the writing, obviously, didn't.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But that was, that was the old days of blogging, 2010, wasn't it? It was.
I was a blogger in those days too. It was such a simple world comparatively. What kind of knitter are you? What do you like to knit? And are you a because I'm a very angry knitter, so I imagine everyone else is much calmer than me.
Yeah, I mean, I do find it quite relaxing. I am quite a slow knitter. So one of my kids said to me the other day, "Could you knit me a jumper?" And I was like,
No,
"No."
buy
And I
one.
was like, in all of your life, I've knitted you one jumper, and you were 2, and I only just got it finished by the time you were 2 before you turned 3, so it would actually fit you. So I was so slow. So I'm more of I knit hats, I'll knit hand warmers, nice fast kind of fairly chunky yarn. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do cables and a bit of lace, but I'm not very technical. But I
No.
think in the Lighthouse, maybe I
Okay.
could learn, do a
So
bit of
yeah, so have you got a
sterile.
project that you're going to
Yes, that's what
pursue?
I'm thinking.
A giant Fair Isle sweater or
Yes,
something?
exactly. Proper Norwegian, complicated.
But it's an well, yes, of course, Norwegian knitting tradition is
Mm,
top down, isn't it? Top down from the neck, I think.
yeah.
So that's a bit more attainable. Um, it's interesting, this idea of, you go on a retreat and you make something. There's something
Mm.
in there, isn't there? Like, is it keeping your hands occupied, or is it wanting to bring something back that's tangible from this time away?
I mean, there's something about the physicality of knitting, isn't there? The
Mm.
texture um, and I always found it really
Did you
hard.
learn when you were young? Because that often makes a
I didn't actually. I learned when my first son was born. My husband's mum taught me. She's an amazing knitter, and she
Mm.
taught me to knit. And yeah, I just got really into it. I think I probably wanted to make a baby hat, I'm guessing, and
Yeah.
so sort of took it from there, or maybe a baby blanket, something like that. So I did knit all of my boys a blanket while I was sort
Oh,
of
wow.
pregnant with them. I quite liked that kind of intentional. I'm creating something
Yeah.
for you, and then I'm giving it to you. But I almost always, I think with knitting, I always enjoy the process more than there are a few things, but mostly I enjoy the process more than the end product, There's
Yeah.
something about the action of it, I think, that is very calming.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting thinking about knitting in pregnancy, because you're almost trying to manage your waiting by knitting, aren't
Mm,
you? It's like this thing is coming that is taking up all of my attention, and how do I mark off the time? How do I create something that shows the importance back to myself almost,
yeah,
How do I
yeah.
how do I provision this time that's yet to come that
Mm.
seems far too far away always?
And it's almost
Mm.
like it's a kind of, or I found it making a blanket's kind of like a focus for your love that is slightly
Yeah.
unformed, because you don't know exactly who it is that you love yet, but you've got these kind of feelings, and actually to kind of create something in advance, I found that quite
Mm.
centering, I think.
Yeah. And it's almost something that you can say, I was thinking of you before you
Yeah,
arrived.
yeah,
I was
exactly.
there. Okay. So we're knitting, we're photographing, we're saying hi to the orcas um,
Yeah,
every day. We can name them all separately by now.
every
Um,
morning.
we also suggest that you bring a cultural artifact that you can experience while you're there, like a record or a film or a piece of art or a giant novel, or maybe a very slim volume. Who am I to comment? What are you bringing with you to entertain you?
So I think I was thinking about this, and I think I would bring a painting, and I think
Oh.
I'd bring a Hammershoi painting. Those beautiful. So he's a Danish painter, 19th century
Mm.
Danish painter, and I saw an exhibition of his in Copenhagen a few years back. And he does these incredible interiors. There's usually a window. They're
Mm.
very muted rooms, sort of painted in white or grey, and then often there's the figure of a woman, which I think his wife was often the model for,
His
but
model.
the figure of a woman. And actually, I'm only thinking this now, but they're not dissimilar. It's almost like a kind of inverse of the photos I take of the fog, because when I take
Right.
photos of the fog, I'm there in a white dress, usually from, photographed from behind, sort of lone figure
Yeah.
of a woman. And in his paintings, it's white, but then the figure is usually wearing a dark dress, dark hair, and
Okay.
then she's sort of got her back to the painter, and she's
Ah.
in the corner or by the window, or And I think, I mean, I find his paintings they're sort of very serene, and they're very, the way he captures light is incredible. And the way he captures a sort of sense of solitude, and that kind of, they're quite mysterious. It's hard
Yeah.
to know sort of,
Sounds very enigmatic. That
yeah,
your
very
figures are
mysterious,
enigmatic as
very
well that you photograph.
enigmatic. They're very muted. They're almost slightly eerie.
Mm.
And the one that I would take is, I think it's called Interior Sunlight on the Floor. And it's basically a sort of grey white room. And on the left-hand side, there's the sort of edge of a table with a white tablecloth. And then on the right-hand side of the wall, there's a door. And then to the side of the door, there's a window with lots of small panes. And then there's sunlight shining through the window, and it when the sunlight creates the pattern of the window on the floor.
Yeah.
And that's really all there is. It's very simple and it's very still. But I think you can kind of get lost in that. I think you can really, it's very reflective. And I kind of think if I'm in a lighthouse and I'm surrounded by sea and orcas and all of that, then a sort of interior themed piece of art is maybe what I need at that point.
Do you have a lot of art at home? Is that something you spend time doing in your normal house, not your retreat house?
I do collect, quite a lot of art and photographs, and then in my office, which I'm not in at the moment, but upstairs, I have lots of postcards and photographs and stuff all behind my desk, often kind of themed on what I'm writing about. I find that quite helpful, a bit of visual inspiration as well as kind of.
It sounds very contemplative, this. I mean, it sounds like a very kind of still, calm image, but with some intrigue in it. But the idea of being alone with the same painting for a long time, I mean, even a day, but actually in your vision of this, months on end, it sounds like a fascinating process to really go deep into this picture and to really become intimate with it.
It sort of makes me think, I know you're also a fan of the Box of Delights, and there's that moment, isn't there, where the old man, they're at the house and the wolves are gathering, and the old man steps into the painting, doesn't he, and walks off into the snow. And I almost feel like, if you spent that much time with a painting, then maybe you could just get inside it and step into the room.
And in the Box of Delights, it's a means of travel as well. So you could potentially travel with this painting by walking into it and coming out somewhere else.
Oh, that would be even better.
Maybe in Copenhagen, you might just step out into.
Be happy with that. Go and have a Danish
sounds
pastry.
Delightful. Your retreat in the clearing is coming to a close after many, many months of solitude and glorious foggy isolation. How do you know when this is coming to an end for you? Like, what are the signals for you that you're ready to go back into normal life?
I mean, I think probably, as we said, the silence would start to feel, at the moment, the thought of silence is the dream. But I think, I am used to, I've got 3 teenage boys, I live in a very busy house, and I think there would come a point where the silence actually began to press in on me a bit, and I'd be thinking, I think I need my noise, I need my chaos. And also probably I'd have cast off my sweater. So, I'd go home wearing my beautiful sweater.
That's it. That's the process. It's like, how long does it take me to knit a massive sweater, guys? I don't know.
Take me a very long time.
It is interesting, isn't it? That call towards silence that I think we do feel at this stage in our life. That it's in such short supply. Attention is in short supply. We are constantly interrupted and asked questions, and our care is drawn from us even when we're not quite ready to give it. But there's a whole literature of women at middle age craving silence and solitude.
What you say about interruptions and that sense of, just your concentration just being constantly fragmented, and you're trying to always trying to think about more than one thing at the same time. And I find that so difficult.
Yeah.
And I think, that is the sort of big appeal of a retreat, is just being able to be in your head to just be focusing on one thing. And that seems like a fairly, minimal request, but actually it's quite difficult, isn't it?
We're not asking much, just to concentrate sometimes. Please let us do that. But and yet there is when we get that separation and silence, it often wears out quicker than you think, I reckon.
It definitely does. Yeah.
You start to miss the chaos, unfortunately, because we've been conditioned into it now.
I mean, I think the retreat ideal would almost be that you could go for one day a week, say. You knew you were going to have that little one-day retreat, and then you'd come back and you'd be fine. And then, if I could just go through the painting into the lighthouse one day a week and then come back again, that would be my dream, I think.
Okay, so actually, we provide you with a portal. This is how this is going to work, in the form of this beautiful painting. It hangs on your wall in your house, and whenever you get tired of people asking if they've got clean socks, or people being continuously hungry, because they never stop being hungry. Never. And yet to allow them to make the food themselves is to have the whole kitchen trashed. And we all know this. And so we do this deal with the devil where we're like, I'll make the sandwich, it's cleaner. Maybe that's just me. Whenever it gets too much, you don your white dress.
Yes.
A fog rises around you and you step into the painting and out the other side in your lighthouse. How's that for a deal?
Perfect. This is the absolute dream of all dreams.
Love it. I love this. I think this is a system that could truly work for us.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
And I always ask my guests as well if there's something they bring back from their retreat with them, but I think it might be a sweater.
A sweater and maybe some sea urchin skeletons. I'd probably collect a few of those from along the beach.
Did you collect some when you were in the Arctic Circle?
I did, and I brought them home. They have honey in tins in Norway, which is very cool, and I brought them home in a honey tin. But I didn't find a red one. There were green ones and there were red purple ones, and one of the people I was retreating with, Pat, did give me a little red one, but on my Lighthouse Island I'm going to find some really good red ones and I'm going to bring them back.
So lovely sea urchin shells wash home with you. Laura, thank you so much for visiting us today and sharing your incredible lighthouse, which I'm now just in awe of.
Thank you so much for having me and for allowing me to have my.
And we will put links
dream
in the show notes so that people can find you and your brilliant new book, Chasing Fog, which is now out in paperback. Because I think if the lighthouse appealed to you, the book will satisfy your soul.
Yes, definitely. Come and find me in the fog.
Oh, there are more leaves than I thought, honestly. Still haven't unburied the rake. But I was out in my garden late one night recently and was really delighted to find that a little hedgehog walked past me. It was a bright full moon and I didn't think we had any hedgehogs in the garden anymore. We used to have one a long time ago who only had one eye, and he was quite a little character. He used to make such a noise when he came along every night that you definitely knew he was there. But he obviously either moved on or his life moved on. He did look quite old. I haven't seen one for years. So I was thrilled to know that we still had one. I'm not finding any in these piles of leaves, unfortunately. But hopefully there is a little hedgehog somewhere in his hibernation nest, staying all warm until spring. Hope you enjoyed that conversation with Laura. I really did. I love thinking about wild and kind of wind-blown places. I really think that in another life, I'd been a very good lighthouse keeper. Although I really don't have my sea legs, so I don't think I'd be able to do any Grace Darling style rescues. But maybe the fantasy of solitude is more compelling than the reality. I think lighthouse keepers used to live very hard lives. If you would like to catch up with Laura, you can of course pick up a copy of her book Chasing Fog in all good bookstores. You can also follow her on Instagram as Circle of Pines, which is always just full of really lovely, soothing, whimsical content, which I think fits very well with the vibe of this podcast. And Laura has a brilliant Substack newsletter too, which is called Small Stories, which is the name, well, it's inspired by the name of her first book, which was Little Stories of Your Life, which is all about how to capture small stories of your life using your camera and your sense of narrative. If you can pick up a copy of that, it's actually a really, really helpful manual that shows how Laura does it so well. Laura's also a part-time bookseller, and so she will be busy right now managing what is hopefully a big Christmas rush. If you've still got presents to buy, please do consider your small local indie bookstore this year. It has been a very hard year all round, and I really do think that books make an excellent ethical midwinter gift. I don't think I need to tell you guys that though. I think you're with the programme on that. Anyway, I will be back very soon with another fantasy retreat. In the meantime, just to let you know, you can listen to this podcast ad-free if you'd prefer, and I totally get it. If you go to theclearingpod.com, you can see all the options, one of which is simply subscribing to my Substack newsletter, so you get loads of other stuff too. But if that's not for you, you can subscribe directly in app if you're an Apple, or via Patreon. So lots of options for lots of different people. Or you can just be mildly amused by the ads, such as they are. Anyway, look, I'll see you really soon. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Take lots of care.